when we were discussing about RCNN, we saw its different features like your ROI pooling, your region proposal networks, etc. And in terms of accuracy, RCNN was much superior than many of the other advanced techniques. However, we saw that especially during inference time, the speed of it didn't scale up quite well, and it was not really good for real-time object detections. And these were corrected, especially in algorithms like YOLO, which we just saw in the previous slide. And like YOLO, SSDs are also a single framework, that it has got a single network, which is a convolutional neural network, to do the end-to-end processing. So in SSDs, you give an input image along with the bounding boxes for each object in that in that image, and then there are some default boxes and its confidence codes at different aspect ratios and scales, which is for each of the feature maps. And these default boxes are compared to the ground truths, and then a loss is calculated, and and that's what happens during the training process. So this SSDs again is a single framework, but one drawback which is given for SSDs is that it doesn't predict well for smaller objects, and that's kind of the workaround for that is by increasing the size of the image. And now that we have seen some of the major object detectors like RCNNs, YOLO, SSDs, etc., let's talk about a very convenient way of doing many of this object detection, and that's through TensorFlow Object Detection API. Now, TensorFlow Object Detection APIs enables you to quickly train and deploy your object detectors, and then TensorFlow Object Detection API provides you with different types of model networks, all these different types of model networks, which you can train from the scratch using these APIs, and it's much more easier and configurable, and it makes and so it eliminates many of these moving parts which are required for when you deploy many of these individual networks, which we have seen earlier. Let's now quickly summarize what we have covered through in this post. So we started off with an introduction to object detections, and then we looked at some of the earlier methods which were there for object detections, like your image pyramids, your template matching, etc., etc. And then when we came on to cover some of the advanced methods like your RCNN family, YOLO, SSDs, and then your utility function called the TensorFlow Object Detection API. Now, what next? What are we going to do next? So even though there are different data sets which are available to do object detections, like your COCO object detection data set is one important one, which you will be used for to detect many of these standard classes which are available. However, to do it, or to do these object detections, which is a very complex task for your own data set, for your own problem statements, you need to learn how to build your own data sets, because that's a very important tool set. It's not about building your own data sets, how to do annotation for your own data set, and which is a very important skill to do. Suppose you're going to do object detection for a manufacturing setup. That is, you want to detect your defective parts in your in a manufacturing setup. You won't find the data sets which are there, freely available data sets with annotated data sets there. So for that, you have to build your own data set, and that's what we're going to cover next in the next post of this series. That is, how to build your own custom data sets and how to annotate those data sets. And we'll be using a tool called Label IMG,
which will help you in annotating this these data sets, using for building all those bounding boxes which we saw, which are very important for any object detections, and that's what we will cover in the next post. So until then, watch out this space for more. If you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel, please subscribe it. Please subscribe to the blog post also, because you will have very interesting stuff in end-to-end projects which you can implement in different series like this. So until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and thank you for watching from all of us in BaseinQuest.com.